welcome back. And if you're new here, hey there. So I want this channel to be about art and inspiration, but I also want it to be about transformation and growth. So today we're going to get right into the meat of the subject and just dive right in and talk about trauma. I knew that if I was going to make lifelong changes that really served me, then I was going to have to get to the root of what wasn't serving me. And so, it's breezy out here. So I knew that I was going to have to bring some things to the surface that were hard to think about, hard to talk about. Things that were manifesting in triggers and addiction for me. And so I started my journey a long time ago. Really, I've been working on these things for years and years, but with food addiction, which is a very interesting addiction because you wear it exteriorly. I mean, is that a word, exteriorly? You wear it on the outside. Food is something that you can't hide. Because your body shows that that's what you're into. You know, if you have a shopping addiction, maybe you have really nice things, but people don't realize that your family is suffering because your bills are through the roof, and, you know, on, you get the point. Food is something that I have struggled with since I was a child, and it dates back to a myriad of things. I could talk about some of those things in depth, and I might do that later on. And I mean, I might even do that right now. But the main thing is I knew that the physiological changes that I was going to make were not going to be sustainable if I wasn't able to get to the heart of the matter. And so I started doing EMDR about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And what that is a brain balancing exercise. And that is to bring balance to the physical body and to the emotional and mental triggers that we have that are stored in the body. There's so many ways you can do this, guys. I mean, there are a lot of maps to get up the mountain, right? But for this particular thing, I had tried a lot of things like talk therapy, and I talked till I'm blue in the face. And the thing for me is I'm a verbal processor, so I had already talked about all of these things a lot. I had already discussed a lot of these issues in depth with my family, close friends, and loved ones, and even online, you know. So for me, I knew that wasn't really going to go deep enough. And so this process is it's a series of listening to sounds and vibrations, and then observing movement back and forth, and balancing the brain while discussing those traumas. So getting your body to respond in a different way, reprogramming, you know. So for me, rewriting those tapes and reprogramming was a major part, and most of it was sitting with my discomfort. Most of it was not just going, aha, that's what happened, okay, now that I know it, I can move on. It's okay, now that I know it, where is that sitting in my body? How can I honor that? How can I thank my body for responding in a certain way and keeping me safe? And for serving me in that way, and also just sitting with the pain, feeling the pain. The only way through is through. And that's what I've discussed. That's what I've really discovered in my journey, is that for me, the only way through is through. So I had to go through a series of counseling sessions where I almost felt like I had a fever. That's how intense that emotion can feel when it comes up on a cellular level. And I realized that there were so many patterns that I was doing that were not serving me. Things like waiting until my children went to bed and stuffing my face in the garage full of chocolate because I didn't even want to share with my family, because I was so afraid that there wouldn't be enough, that I would be missing out somehow. And those things come back to not really having enough. My mom worked so hard for us. She was a single mother and she always provided, but it was, sometimes things were scarce and we relied on food closets and churches to feed us. And I'm so grateful for what I did have. But there would be times that I couldn't wait to go to school because I would get that lunch, the biggest meal that I could have in a while. So there's so many things like that. And looking at it and sitting with it and then coming back to the reality that this is where I am now. This is the life that I have built now. I am not wanting for any of that anymore. In fact, I have an abundance. So I had to look at those patterns and reprogram them, rewrite the tapes, and really sit with the pain and the trauma to change first. Then I also started on what I do, and anyone who knows me well knows that this is what I do. If I'm interested in something, if there's something that I'm passionate about, if there's something that I'm working on, it becomes not an obsession, but something that I pour myself into wholeheartedly. I look at it from every angle. I read about it. I read it from professionals and studies and peer-reviewed journals, and then I look at it from testimony and people that I know and shared experiences and the fails and the wins and all of the sides. I like everything to be out on the table. I love the scientific method. So I looked at, I listened to a myriad of voices, all of this cacophony of voices shaking up, the dinner party, if you will. And what I came to is something that works for my body. I had to do a lot of trial and error. For me, it was never about calorie counting. Calories are an important aspect. I mean, I'm not a denier of that science, but it's just a little piece of the puzzle. And so for me, the main piece was getting to the source of why the impulse was there, why I chose that to find comfort, to find joy, to quell pain, and also why I chose that for my children. I mean, there was a time that my addiction was so intense that I would go to a wedding and I couldn't even enjoy what was happening around me. I wasn't dancing, I wasn't celebrating, I was looking and scanning those tables to see what might be wasted because I was so worried that they would throw away that food and that it would be wasted and lost. And so those impulses had to shift for me to take any of the physiological logic into play, to take any of that into account and put it into play. So here I am on the other side. It's a lifelong journey. It's going to be a lifelong journey. And I think that creating a vlog like this is important for me because it is accountability. It's sharing the experiences that I have, and it is hopefully reaching somebody out there that was in my position, or maybe is even on the other side of that, who just needs to remember that you're worth it. We are worth it. We're worth working on. My children deserve to have a mother that is alive and well and isn't so center focused and focused on my impulses, that I can be conscious with them, that I can be present and just be a better mother, a better wife, a better friend, a better sister, and everything. So getting to the root of that is important, and I hope that you choose to look at those things in your life, whatever they may be. Maybe it's a totally different story than mine, but you're worth it. I love you.